Mr. President.
Senator from California.
Thank you, Mr. President. I call up my amendment 2422.
The clerk will report.
The Senator from California, Ms. Feinstein, proposes amendment number 2422.
Mr. President, I ask that the reading be suspended.
Without objection.
Yeah.
There will be 2 minutes of debate equally divided.
Thank you very much. I present this amendment on behalf of Senator Kyl, Senator Boxer, and
If the Senator will yield, the Senate will come to order. Please take your conversations out of the Senate. The Senate will come to order. Senator from California.
Thank you very much. I present this amendment on behalf of Senator Kyl, Boxer, and myself. It is a very simple amendment. It maintains a provision from the 2008 Farm Bill that sets aside $37.5 million for air quality improvement projects. This program has been used to replace old diesel tractors' engines with newer, cleaner ones. This improves efficiency for the farmer and air quality in the regions. It has helped thousands of farmers comply with EPA, state, and local air quality regulations. In California, in the Central Valley, we have some of the poorest air quality in the country. It is an EPA extreme non-attainment zone, and the EPA and the state have set very strict standards for emissions. This funding has achieved the equivalent of removing more than 408,000 cars from California highways. I urge its passage.
Who yields time?
Mr. President.
The Senator from Michigan.
I just want to take a moment, and the ranking members yielded some time to me. I just want to thank Senator Feinstein. This is, I think, an excellent amendment, and she's done a tremendous amount of work on it, she and Senator Kyl, and I would urge a yes vote.
Voice vote.
If there's no further debate on the amendment, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The amendment is agreed to.
Debbie, am I?
Dave, do I have to call it up?
From Tennessee.
I'd like to call up Amendment 2191.
The clerk will report.
The Senator from Tennessee, Mr. Alexander, proposes amendment number 2191.
Mr. President, do I have 1 minute?
2 minutes of debate equally divided.
Thank you, Mr. President. If my colleagues think it is a good idea to give rich developers of wind turbines a double dip into the federal treasury at a time when we're borrowing 40 cents of every dollar, then this provision in the Farm Bill is for you. If you think a single dip into the Treasury is justified, then this amendment is for you. The Farm Bill gives new loans, new loan guarantees for wind turbines. That is on top of the $14 billion federal tax dollars that we are spending over 5 years for wind turbines. $6 billion of it through the production tax credit, and then the other $8 billion through the Section 603 grants. This simply says no double dipping, only one dip. If you do the tax credit, you can't do the Farm Bill. Vote yes if you don't like double dipping into the federal treasury.
The Senator from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to oppose this amendment. I appreciate the interest and concern of the Senator from Tennessee. Let me just say that this amendment would cut off access for farmers and small businesses that are looking to develop wind energy projects that will create jobs. I have to say, someone coming from Michigan, when I look at one of those big wind turbines, I see 8,000 parts, and every single one of them can be made in Michigan or across the country. We'd prefer Michigan, but the reality is that this is about jobs. We're in the middle of a global clean energy race with countries like China. This is about giving our businesses a leg up to be able to win that race. And frankly, it's about getting us off of foreign oil. This is one way to do that, to create jobs. Since 2005, wind energy companies have contributed more than $60 billion to the economy, over 400 facilities in 43 states. It's about jobs. It's about manufacturing. I would urge a no vote.
All time has expired. Question is on amendment number 2191. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Aya, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Begich, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bingaman, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blunt, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Boxer, Mr. Brown of Massachusetts, Mr. Brown of Ohio, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mr. Cardin, Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, Mr. Crapo, Mr. DeMint, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi, Mrs. Feinstein, Mr. Franken, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mrs. Hagan, Mr. Harkin, Mr. Hatch, Mr. Heller, Mr. Hoven, Mrs. Hutchison, Mr. Inhofe, Mr. Inouye, Mr. Isaacson, Mr. Johans, Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin, Mr. Johnson of South Dakota, Mr. Kerry, Mr. Kirk, Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Cole. Mr. Kyle. Ms. Landrieu. Mr. Lautenberg. Mr. Leahy. Mr. Lee.
But reduction tax credit gives them 2.2 cents per kilowatt.
Mr. Levin.
They had the 1603 grants, and they had the reduction tax credit, and you couldn't double this back. You had to take one or the other. This just says one subsidy is enough.
Mr. Lugar. Mr. Manchin. Mr. McCain. Mrs. McCaskill. Mr. McConnell. Mr. Menendez. Mr. Merkley. Ms. Mikulski. Mr. Moran. Ms. Murkowski. Mrs. Murray.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson of Nebraska. Mr. Nelson of Florida. Mr. Paul. Mr. Portman. Mr. Pryor. Mr. Reed of Rhode Island. Mr. Reed of Nevada. Mr. Risch. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Rockefeller. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Sessions. Mrs. Shaheen. Mr. Shelby. Ms. Snow. Ms. Stabenow. Mr. Tester. Mr. Thune. Mr. Toomey. Mr. Udall of Colorado. Mr. Udall of New Mexico. Mr. Vitter. Mr. Warner. Mr. Webb. Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden. Senators voting in the affirmative: Alexander, Ayotte, Barrasso, Chambliss, Coates, Coburn, Cochran, Corker, Cornyn, Crapo, DeMint, Enzi, Hatch, Isaacson, Johnson of Wisconsin, Lee, Murkowski, Hall, Portman, Risch, Rubio, Sessions, Shelby, Toomey, Vitter, Wicker. Mr. Burr, aye. Mr. Inhofe, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Akaka, Balkus, Begich, Bennett, Bingaman, Bozeman, Boxer, Brown of Massachusetts, Brown of Ohio, Cantwell, Carper, Collins, Conrad, Coons, Durbin, Franken, Gillibrand, Hagan, Harkin, Heller, Hoven, Inouye, Johans, Johnson of South Dakota, Kerry, Klobuchar, Landrieu, Levin, Lieberman, Lugar, Manchin, McCaskill, Menendez, Merkley, Mikulski, Murray, Nelson of Nebraska, Nelson of Florida, Reed of Rhode Island, Reed of Nevada, Roberts, Rockefeller, Sanders, Schumer, Shaheen, Tester, Udall of Colorado, Udall of New Mexico, Warner, Wyden. Mr. Blunt, aye. Mr. Cardin, no. Mr. McConnell, aye. Mr. Pryor, no. Mr. Lautenberg, no. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Mr. Kyle, aye. Mr. Graham, aye. Mr. Moran, no. Mr. Leahy, no. Mr. Blumenthal, no. Mr. Thune, no. Mr. McCain, Mr. Webb, no. Ms. Snow, aye. Mr. McCain, aye. Mr. Grassley, no. Mr. Cole, no. Mrs. Feinstein, no. Mr. Casey. Mr. Casey, no. Mrs. Hutchison. Mrs. Hutchison, no. Mr. Inhofe. Mr. Inhofe, no. Ms. Stabenow. Ms. Stabenow, no.
Any senators wishing to vote or change their vote? If not on this, the yeas are 33, the nays are 66. The amendment is not agreed to. The senator from Massachusetts.
Point of order.
Senate will come to order. The Senate will come to order. The senator from Massachusetts.
Mr. President, I call up Amendment Senator McCain's and my amendment, number 2199.
The clerk will report.
The senator from Massachusetts, Mr. Kerry, for Mr. McCain and himself and others.
Mr. President, I ask for the reading be
2199.
dispensed with.
Without objection.
Mr. President,
2 minutes of debate equally divided.
Senator McCain and I, along with a strong bipartisan group of our colleagues, are offering this amendment to repeal the 2008 Farm Bill's catfish language. Our amendment would repeal this language because it's unfair to importers, it is costly to the taxpayers, it provides no food safety benefit, it is duplicative of other programs, and it never received consideration or debate in the House or Senate. It should never have passed in the first place. You know, it doesn't make sense to have a catfish category for the regulation of fish, and then all other fish are in a completely separate category. The GAO concluded in a report to enhance the effectiveness of food safety system for catfish and avoid duplication of effort and cost, Congress should consider repealing the provision of the Farm Bill that assigned the USDA responsibility for examining catfish. 2 years later, 5 years later, they're still debating what a catfish is. This would be entirely duplicative, a waste of time, hurt consumers.
Time has expired.
Processors. I hope colleagues will support us in this effort.
Who yields time in opposition?
Mr. President. Mr. President.
The senator from Arkansas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me just give the other side of the story here, and that is that we have a lot of fish that gets imported from important trading partners like Vietnam and other Asian countries, but it's disputed about whether they meet the definition of catfish. They certainly aren't an American variety of catfish. They're probably some other type of fish, but regardless of all the science there, it's important that we inspect these fish as they come in because they are not grown in the same sanitary conditions that we have in the United States. They use different herbicides and pesticides, and they have different pollutants. And in fact, we've seen documented cases where they're raised in sewage water, water contaminated with sewage. And we need to make sure that these fish are inspected when they come into the United States, and that's what the underlying bill provides, and that's what I support. Thank you.
All time has expired. Question is on amendment number 2199. Is there a sufficient second? There's not a sufficient second?
Mr. President, I believe that it's my understanding that we can proceed with a voice vote on this amendment.
If no further debate, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Do it again. Here to have it. The ayes do have it. The amendment is agreed to.
On the table?
Without objection.
President,
The senator from California.
Mr. President, I call up, oh dear, amendment number 2309.
The clerk will report.
The senator from California, Mrs. Feinstein, proposes amendment number 2309.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I offer this on behalf of Senator Chambliss and myself.
Would the senator yield?
I
The
would.
Senate is not in order. The Senate will come to order. Please take your conversations out of the Senate. The Senate will come to order. The senator from California.
Thank you very much. I offer this on behalf of Senator Chambliss and myself. It is a simple amendment. It simply authorizes a study into how we can better cover farmers affected by recalls they did not cause. When a food safety recall occurs, like spinach, like tomatoes, or cantaloupe, consumers stop purchasing the product regardless of what farm the food came from. When this happens, producers suffer major financial losses because of a recall they did not cause. This amendment directs the USDA to conduct a study into the feasibility of crop insurance, a product that would cover a producer's losses after these kinds of events. The amendment has zero cost. It has bipartisan support. It is endorsed by United Fresh.
Time has expired.
I urge its aye vote, and I don't believe a roll call is necessary.
Who yields time in opposition?
Well, Mr. President, I would just say
Senator from Michigan.
I commend Senator Feinstein and strongly support the amendment. It's my understanding that we do have those who have asked for a record roll call on this amendment. If I yield to my ranking member, I believe that we have been asked to do that.
Mr. President,
The senator from Kansas.
we have a request on our side for a recorded vote. I ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Ayotte, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Begich, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bingaman. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blunt. Mr. Bozeman. Mrs. Boxer. Mr. Brown of Massachusetts. Mr. Brown of Ohio. Mr. Burr. Ms. Cantwell. Mr. Cardin. Mr. Carper. Mr. Casey. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Dement, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi, Mrs. Feinstein, Mr. Franken, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mrs. Hagan, Mr. Harkin, Mr. Hatch, Mr. Heller, Mr. Hoven, Mrs. Hutchison, Mr. Inhofe, Mr. Inouye, Mr. Isaacson, Mr. Johans, Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin, Mr. Johnson of South Dakota, Mr. Kerry, Mr. Kirk, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Cole, Mr. Kyle, Ms. Landrieu, Mr. Lautenberg, Mr. Leahy, Mr. Lee, Mr. Levin, Mr. Lieberman, Mr. Lugar, Mr. Manchin, Mr. McCain, Mrs. McCaskill, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Menendez, Mr. Merkley, Ms. Mikulski, Mr. Moran, Ms. Murkowski, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Nelson of Nebraska, Mr. Nelson of Florida, Mr. Paul, Mr. Portman, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Reed of Rhode Island, Mr. Reed of Nevada, Mr. Risch, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Sessions, Mrs. Shaheen. Mr. Shelby. Ms. Snow. Ms. Stabenow. Mr. Tester. Mr. Thune. Mr. Toomey. Mr. Udall of Colorado. Mr. Udall of New Mexico. Mr. Vitter. Mr. Warner. Mr. Webb. Mr. Whitehouse. Mr. Wicker. Mr. Wyden. Senators voting in the affirmative: Akaka, Ayotte, Baucus, Bennett, Bingaman, Brown of Massachusetts, Carper, Casey, Chambliss, Collins, Conrad, Cornyn, Crapo, Feinstein, Graham, Hagan, Hutchison, Inouye, Isaacson, Johans, Johnson of South Dakota, Kerry, Klobuchar, Cole, Landrieu, Leahy, Lugar, Manchin, Menendez, Mikulski, Moran, Nelson of Florida, Pryor, Reed of Rhode Island, Risch, Rockefeller, Sanders, Shaheen, Stabenow, Vitter, Warner, Wicker, Wyden. Mr. Cardin, aye. Mr. Alexander, aye. Ms. Murkowski, aye. Mr. Bozeman, aye. Mr. Tester, aye. Mrs. Murray, aye. Mr. Reed of Nevada, aye. Mr. Begich, aye. Mr. Brown of Ohio, aye. Mr. Cochran, aye. Mrs. Boxer, aye. Mr. Coons, aye. Mr. Lieberman, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Barrasso, Coates, Coburn, Corker, DeMint, Enzi, Hatch, Inhofe, Johnson of Wisconsin, Lee, McCain, Hall, Roberts, Rubio, Sessions, Shelby, Thune, Toomey. Mr. Schumer, aye. Mr. Webb, aye. Mr. Udall of New Mexico, aye. Mrs. Gillibrand, aye. Mr. Kyle, no. Mr. Merkley, aye. Mr. Burr, aye. Mr. Udall of Colorado, aye. Mr. Franken, aye. Mr. Heller, no. Mr. Blunt, aye. Mr. Nelson of Nebraska, aye. Mr. Levin, aye. Mr. McConnell, no. Mr. Durbin, aye. Mr. Graham, no. Mr. Blumenthal, aye. Ms. Cantwell, aye. Mrs. McCaskill, aye. Mr. Portman, aye. Mr. Lautenberg, aye. Mr. Grassley, aye. Mr. Whitehouse, aye. Mr. Hoven, no. Ms. Snow, aye. Mr. Harkin, aye.
Are there any senators in the chamber wishing to vote or to change their vote? If not, on this amendment, the ayes are 76, the nays are 23. The amendment is agreed to.
Mr. President.
The senator from Pennsylvania.
Mr. President, I'd like to...
Senator from Pennsylvania is recognized.
I'd like to call up Amendment 2217.
The clerk will report.
The senator from Pennsylvania, Mr. Toomey, proposes amendment number 2217.
2 minutes of debate equally divided.
Thank you, Mr. President. The bill we're debating today has a provision called the Organic Certification Cost Share and the Agricultural Management Assistance Program. This creates $115 million of mandatory spending over the next 5 years. It continues existing policy, except at a much higher spending level. It's a 53% increase over the 2008 Farm Bill. Half of the funding here goes to pay producers who seek...
The Senate will be in order. Senator from Pennsylvania.
Half of this funding goes to have taxpayers pay the cost of producers who want to certify that they grow an organic product. I have nothing against organic farming, but it's a $31 billion industry. It's had a 50% growth just since 2008, and this applies only to large producers because small producers are not required to seek this certification. This is a great market. There's a great deal of interest in organic products, but I think these large producers can go ahead and pay for their own certification. The other half goes to a duplicative conservation effort.
The senator's time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The senator from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to oppose this amendment. One of the important principles in this bill is that we support the great diversity of American agriculture. This particular amendment would go after a very small provision of $23 million in a multi-hundreds of billion-dollar bill to support the fastest rising part of agriculture, which is organic farming. We have reformed this bill as we have every other part of the bill. We continue here what has been in the farm bills of the past, and I might add this amendment would also reduce funding available for conservation and risk management assistance for states that have been underserved by crop insurance. I would urge a no vote on the amendment.
The question is on Amendment 2217.
Ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Ayotte, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Begich, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bigeman, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blunt, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Boxer, Mr. Brown of Massachusetts, Mr. Brown of Ohio, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mr. Cardin, Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, Mr. Crapo, Mr. DeMent, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi, Mrs. Feinstein, Mr. Franken, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley,
Would you think them taking the bill?
Mrs. Hagan, Mr. Harkin, Mr. Hatch, Mr. Heller, Mr. Hoven, Mrs. Hutchison,
No. I understand, Mr. President. I understand, Mr. President. But at the right time, if we took up...
Mr. Inhofe, Mr. Inoue,
You want them to take up...
Mr. Isaacson,
Okay. So you would...
Mr. Johans, Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin, Mr. Johnson of South Dakota, Mr. Kerry, Mr. Kirk, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Cole,
You think we did service when we say what?
Mr. Kyle,
And that's where so really this way.
Ms. Landrieu, Mr. Lautenberg, Mr. Leahy, Mr. Lee, Mr. Levin, Mr. Lieberman, Mr. Lugar, Mr. Manchin, Mr. McCain, Mrs. McCaskill, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Menendez, Mr. Merkley, Ms. Mikulski, Mr. Moran, Ms. Murkowski,
I thought it was going to be enough.
Mrs. Murray, Mr. Nelson of Nebraska, Mr. Nelson of Florida, Mr. Paul, Mr. Portman, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Reed of Rhode Island, Mr. Reed of Nevada, Mr. Risch, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Sessions, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Shelby, Ms. Snow, Ms. Stabenow, Mr. Tester, Mr. Thune, Mr. Toomey, okay. Oh. Mr. Udall of Colorado, Mr. Udall of New Mexico, Mr. Vitter, Mr. Warner, Mr. Webb, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Senators voting in the affirmative: Alexander, Ayotte, Barrasso, Burr, Chambliss, Coates, Coburn, Cochran, Corker, Crapo, Dement, Grassley, Hatch, Isaacson, Johans, Lugar, Manchin, McConnell, Paul, Portman, Risch, Rubio, Sessions, Shelby, Toomey, Bitter, and Wicker. Mr. Cole. Senators voting in the negative: Begich, Bennett, Bingaman, Blumenthal, Boxer, Brown of Massachusetts, Brown of Ohio, Cardin, Collins, Conrad, Coons, Durbin, Feinstein, Gillibrand, Hagan, Harkin, Hutchison, Inouye, Carey, Klobuchar, Cole, Lautenberg, Leahy, Levin, McCaskill, Menendez, Merkley, Mikulski, Murray, Nelson of Nebraska, Nelson of Florida, Pryor, Reed of Rhode Island, Roberts, Rockefeller, Sanders, Shaheen, Snow, Stabenow, Tester, Udall of Colorado, Warner, and Wyden. Mr. Webb? No. Mr. Baucus? Mr. Baucus? No. Ms. Landrieu? Ms. Landrieu? No. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin? Aye. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota? No. Mr. Cornyn? Mr. Cornyn? Aye. Mr. Moran? Mr. Moran? Aye. Mr. Enzi? Mr. Enzi? Aye. Mr. Casey? Mr. Casey? No. Mr. Hoeven? Mr. Hoeven, no. Mr. Kyle? Mr. Kyle? Aye. Mr. Blunt? Mr. Blunt? Aye. Mr. Manchin? No. Mr. Inhofe? Mr. Inhofe? Aye. Mr. Lee? Aye. Mr. Lee? Aye. Mr. Graham? Mr. Graham? Aye. Mr. Heller? Mr. Heller, no.
Mark me down as Mr. Undecided.
Mr. Roberts?
I'm only taking care of the whole bill.
Aye. Mr. Manchin? Aye. Mr. Bozeman? Mr. Bozeman? Aye. Mr. Heller? Aye. Mr. Carper? No. Mr. Thune? Mr. Thune? Aye. Ms. Murkowski? Aye. Mr. Udall? Mr. Udall of New Mexico? No. Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Franken, no. Mr. Lieberman, Mr. Lieberman, no. Mr. McCain. Mr. McCain, aye. Mr. Reed of Nevada, no. Mr. Schumer, no.